Parliamo di cinema, una tenera vipera ad ogni genera che oggi è bigama, all'anima libera che non ha più fisima, la gente cinica, misera e anonima, chi vive a Panama ed è morta a Veneta. Parliamo di cinema e di ciò che ci va. John.
Nostalgia Broadcast.
Ciao, Nostalgia Broadcast, siamo qui con Stephen Graham e Boon per il film Good Boy, diretto da Komasa. I want to ask you how you build the relationship between you two, the characters, and if Jan gives you some reference to build your relationship, the characters, and how it works between you two with this reference.
Yeah, funnily enough, we didn't all get that much time with each other before we started filming, which was actually really good because obviously the characters, my character is forced into this situation in the film with complete strangers. Obviously, we'd spoken to each other on the phone. There was a week before where we were doing rehearsals and stuff, but it wasn't like we built over a period of months, which you'd get the luxury of with some jobs, where you get to really form like a company of actors kind of thing. We came together just a week before, so it was a natural. We became more, better friends throughout filming, which is exactly what happens with our characters as well. So that was quite a nice organic way of both building the relationships on screen and off. Now we're all best mates.
And then we went for some nice bits to eat and all that. Went to watch footy and everything, didn't we?
Yeah.
So you begin to develop a relationship, do you know what I mean? But as he said, it kind of happened during the process as well, do you know what I mean, of filming. But as an actor, you come with an idea to the table and you bring what your research and your work that you've done at home, you bring that to the table. And then what was lovely about this kind of relationship is me and him found a lot of humour and fun in what we don't really take ourselves overly serious, but we were serious about the craft and about what we do. Do you know what I mean? But we had quite a laugh, really, didn't we?
Proper, yeah.
And especially with him being chained. I mean, that whole
absurd,
that whole thing as well. I remember one day you were really like trying to navigate it and work it out, and we had to change the chain, and because there was one point where, because he goes for it, he really, he puts everything into it when he's in the moment, and he and pulled himself right back, and I was like, "What are you? Stop it! We've got to get through that." He's like, "No, I really want to go for it." And it's like, "No, you have to be careful. You have to be mindful here."
They did look after me.
So we did look after him, and we'd get the collar changed, and then we put some foam in the collar so it wasn't.
Yeah, because he
ends up with a big red ring around his neck.
Yeah, it wasn't makeup. The thing is, what you think about is the collar, and I never thought about. I don't know if everyone. I never thought about the chain. The chain is so heavy and weighs it down so much, so you're getting it from two different places. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it was tough.
Yeah. You enter in the character very deeply.
Yeah.
What did you think about the condition of the family unit today?
Today?
Yeah.
What do I think about the condition of the family unit today?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think with the introduction of phones and technology, it could be easier nowadays to be more distant with the people that are around you all the time. And I think that what's great about this film is we create kind of in this house in the middle of nowhere, this timeless sort of utopia where they don't have, you hear Chris at the start saying, we don't allow technology, we don't allow outside cleaning products, everything is natural. It's like they grow all their own vegetables and they eat everything, nothing is from the outside world. And you see that this bond that they really form made me think a lot about, I remember having conversations with my grandparents about pastimes, like what people would get up to pass the time, and before the days of technology, before the days of television even, and sitting around having conversations, having debates, reading books and stuff. And this is all stuff that Chris and Catherine teach Tommy to do. And they create this really, really lovely relationship. Now, I use my phone all the time. Everyone does, don't they? Like, we're all guilty of it. It's part of our everyday lives now. But I think if you think about the condition of the family unit today, that's probably the biggest difference. and it's what we explore in our film.
I don't mean to chastise nor condemn, do you know what I mean? And then again, in the same respect, who am I to judge? And I'm trying not to judge, but in the same respect, there's that kind of, I'm not the biggest fan of when you go out for meals or you go out for dinners and you see children just locked into their iPad. I understand for parents that can be the thing that they're given to help them, do you know what I mean, have their time or their conversation. But in the same respect, what about the family unit? And what is that really teaching your child? Do you know what I mean? How are you teaching your child how to behave? And I don't mean, again, this is not kind of like an authoritarian kind of sense of behavior. It's kind of, as kids, you have to know what it is to be in a restaurant. You have to know what it is to be in social conditions. And I feel sometimes now that the iPad, especially, and the earphones, is given as like it's a basic replacement of when the dummy goes out the mouth, then you're given the iPad. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of what seems to happen. And for me personally, it's about communication around the table. It's about talking to each other. It's about showing your children that silence is okay, but also so is communication. Do you know what I mean? Let's find something to talk about. Let's ask each other what's going on, rather than just you have your iPad, put your earphones on. Do you know what I mean? And when they take the iPad away from the child, sometimes there's a big scream, isn't there? And there's a lot of, it's like taking the thing, you've given the pacifier to the child and now you're taking it away. It's like, and so you've created that monster. Do you know what I mean? That's not really parenting as far as I'm concerned. What is parenting is saying, okay, let's have a game of I went to the shop. And that sense of let's have a game of I went to the shop is a case of going, all right, I'm far from perfect. There's no such thing as perfection. I'm not perfect at all. I have lots of, character defects. Please trust me, I do. But I remember when we'd take our kids, we wouldn't have them at the table, me and Annie, and we'd play I went to the shop. So he'd say, I went to the shop and I got a packet of crisps. Then it's your turn. I went to the shops, I got a packet of crisps and a pencil. And so we'd go round and we'd keep going as long as we could and we'd get it wrong. And then all of a sudden, here's your dinner. Oh, thank you very much. But we've just spent 20 minutes, 25 minutes playing a game, laughing, coming up with silly things and being a family, communicating. Whereas I see too many parents sat with children with iPads and it's sad as far as I'm concerned.
The last question we ask all our guests are your favorite films, your favorite movies. 1, 2, 3.
Can I say 3?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I need 3. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to say, not just because he's sitting here, I'm going to say Snatch. I'm going to say Pulp Fiction and Apocalypse Now, probably.
Oh, wow. Good choices. It's such a difficult question. There's so many. Okay, so I get 3.
Yeah,
okay,
3.
So I'll have 3. But can I have The Godfather 1 and 2 as one choice, please?
Of course.
Okay, so that's number 1. I'll have Kes as number 2 because it's forever. And I'm going to throw a new one in the mix. And it's called Small Things Like These. Cillian Murphy's film. It's beautiful. And it's one of my favourite films now of all time. His performance is majestic. And the film itself is glorious. It's just it had me. I was immersed in it. It's wonderful.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Grazie.
Ringraziamo Steven e Anson e ci vediamo alla prossima puntata.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Grazie.
Sorry, lads.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it now. You've really sold
It's
it to me.
wonderful.
Ciao, Nostalgia Podcast, eccoci qua, nuova puntata, siamo alla casa del cinema qui con il nostro ospite Jan Komasa, regista, welcome.
Ciao a tutti.
Ciao a tutti, regista di Good Boy che uscirà il 6 marzo nelle sale, distribuito da Minerva Pictures. Film Club Minerva, vedi, mi dice le cose, sbaglio sempre. E niente, parliamo, la prima domanda.
Allora, during the pandemic, another guy and I discovered your cinema, and we watched all your works from Suicide Room to Theater. In your film, the protagonists always have a problem and need redemption or change. What fascinates you about telling this story?
Yeah, sorry. That's that's okay.
For us.
It's I think it's a theme that fascinates me. It just shows you the journey of a character, especially like most of my characters are men. I think all of them. So only maybe in Anniversary, my other film, the main character is Diane Lane, the mother. But mostly it's about men, young men, who are trying to find some kind of redemption, and they have some kind of guilt maybe, or sometimes they have, like in The Hater, they have this sense of being, lonely and not taken care of, and as there's something there's something about being a man, especially these days. A man, like we men, we have to sort of find something that will, everybody, each one of us have to find something that will make us valuable. And it's tough because the journey, especially when you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, that's when it happens. And that's why most of my characters are they're not only looking for redemption, they're also trying to find something that will make sense in life to us. Now I'm thinking more about also men who are closer to my age, like 40, because that's another, I would say, big theme of having a midlife crisis. That's another, first one is probably around 18, 25, 24, 25. And another one, the big jump in your life is around 40, 35, 40, 45 sometimes. And so I'm just fascinated with this, that we have to sort of change. And I can only speak as a man about my own experience, although I would love to make a movie about a strong female character in the lead.
You did, you said.
Yeah, I did, but Anniversary was with about the mother, yes. But there's many more characters. Okay. But if I can imagine, for example, film like Good Boy, but with a girl,
wow,
that would be something. Like
would be great. I don't know, maybe, especially in Good Boy, but all your movies, your point of view about I don't know, the next generation. What do you think? You have I don't think hope nowadays is a right term. I think it's the trust about maybe this generation, or maybe the future generation. What do you think that can make new generation can you have I don't know, trust about them? What do you think about what's gonna happen? The future generation. Also about a Good Boy, but you have I don't know, trust about them.
Yeah, totally. I have a trust about younger generations, next generations. I think you guys are born. You were born in
1992. Me.
1992.
1997.
So you are Gen Z. Because Gen Z started in 1996, right?
Yes, exactly.
So, but you're a millennial. I'm a millennial.
Kind of millennial, yes.
I'm 1981.
81, okay.
But you're still. I thought you were younger. Yeah, I thought you were Gen Z.
Yeah, because I just shaved my beard. So maybe it's that. I don't know.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. Anyway, but you are younger. You're a young generation. So my kids are. My daughter is 2001, and my son is 2009. I have trust in young generations, totally. I believe in young generations. I'm obsessed with youth, with young culture. I became a father when I was 19, 20. So maybe because I had to lose part of my youth quickly, I had to switch from being young to being adult. Maybe that's why I make movies about something that I missed. Maybe, but maybe now it's the time to grow up and something. So, but I really trust in young generations. I think there's a lot of hope in you guys and even younger generations. I just hope nobody messes up with your head, and I'm afraid of my generation, honestly. I'm afraid of what we can do to your generation. That's what I'm afraid of.
Up until the previous one, you directed all your film in Poland. How was it moving to American England with this film and with Anniversary?
Yeah.
Did you have any difficulty for approaching another type of cinema industry?
I think for a director, I understood it. I was growing up in the 90s. I was infused with American culture. I was watching, Indiana Jones, E.T., Spielberg films, Hollywood films, playing video games, PlayStation, watching anime, lots of Japanese animations and reading a lot of comic books, etc. So I was immersed in pop culture, right? So for me, culturally, America is close, especially in Poland. Poland was always very kind of like American crazed. There's a huge Polish community in America, like 11 million people are of Polish descent. A lot of Poles traveled to America, more than we traveled to Europe. When we entered European Union, then people suddenly started to travel to Europe more than to America. So that was a big change. So culturally, it wasn't that different. And it was, I knew America before I went to America. But I learned that American, especially these days, I started to understand that as a European, I'm really different from, we have a different culture. So I'm much closer to, let's say, Great Britain, like here, than, and we understand each other's codes much better than we understand American codes. So that was a great lesson to me, and I also learned that it's not about even the language itself and the nuances in the language and the codes, cultural codes. It's more about, if you're a director, you have to know how to communicate. And you can communicate without knowing the language. There's a few directors working that don't quite speak very well English, but they make films in English. And it's enough, because if you're able to communicate with the actor, with the crew, it's enough. So you can be communicative, or like you don't have to be. There are some people who are not communicative even in their own language, right? So I teach students directing in Poland, and I try to tell them it's about communication. You have to feel your vision as a director. You have to be able to communicate the vision to, thousands of people, and you have to make sure the communication is okay. Language helps, obviously, but it's not necessary.
The last question, the question we usually do to all our guests, your favorite movies.
My favorite film.
If you had like Letterbox for
for
favorites.
Oh yeah. So look, I will be honest. Here, my favorite movies are The Godfather.
One or two?
One.
Or three.
One.
Okay.
I like two, but I liked one better, because one tells a story of sort of like becoming Michael Corleone at the end. So one is great. The second one is Terminator 2. I watched it over 110 times when I was 12 or 13. It's a great action film, amazing, and it shouldn't work. You have a guy from Austria playing, a robot.
A robot.
And it works, and it's a great action film. And the third film would be probably Dolce Vita, Fellini. When I was with my wife at a cinema, and she was super pregnant. We were both 20, and we were watching Dolce Vita, and her first contractions of her pregnancy started. During the film, so she started to give birth. We didn't know it, so we were like, "Oh, I feel something." And then the film ended. We came back from Dolce Vita to La Dolce Vita to our house in Warsaw. And then 4 hours later, she said, like, I think this is it. And it started doing Fellini's film. So Dolce Vita, my father is an actor, and he always loved Fellini. We went to Rimini, also to Fellini's town, just to see Rimini, because my father wanted to go there. And we had very close ties with Italy always. So Fellini's films and contemporary films.
Okay.
For example, I totally, like, my number one film of all time is Spirited Away, Hayao Miyazaki. I just absolutely adore this fairy tale. It's a masterpiece. So I try to watch everything.
Yes. So from Fellini's Dolce Vita to your Dolce Vita, no?
Yeah, from
Dolce
Fellini-
New Vita.
Dolce New Vita.
La nuova vita.
Dolce New Vita.
Bene.
Bene, ringraziamo Jan Komasa e Good Boy al cinema dal 6 marzo. Ci vediamo alla prossima puntata. Dobbiamo dire tutti quanti insieme ciao.
It will be ciao with O-N at the end.
Ok.
Ciao.
Yes,
Ciao.
al mio uno lo diciamo, ok?
Ciao.
3, 2, 1, ciao.